we are going to start with pharmacokinetics metabolism. So metabolism is divided into phase 1 and phase 2 of metabolism. So what this is, in the phase 1, for example, a drug D is broken down. It's first inactivated. When it is broken down, it is inactivated. But exception is for the case of prodrugs. Actually, what are prodrugs? Which are like activated by this process. Here normally all the drugs are broken down and inactivated, but prodrugs are normally the inactive drugs. So as you know, here the inactive drugs are getting activated in this process. So like this inactivated drugs examples are like levodopa and prognalin, and also all ACE inhibitors except captopril and also lisinopril. So these are the important examples to remember. And also we are having famiciclovir and also clopidogrel. So these are the examples which are very important to remember. So what is phase 1 normally? In the phase 1, the drug is normally broken down into inactive substance, but there are some few exceptional drugs like prodrugs. These prodrugs are like they are already the inactivated drugs, so they come and activate here. So we have seen the examples too. Now in the phase 1 we are also having that the drug is now the broken down drug, that is inactivated drug, is now binded with the functional group. So when it gets binded with the functional group, it later moves on to the phase 2. So phase 2 is also known as conjugation phase. So what happens in phase 2 is nothing but, so this drug with the functional group now gets conjugated with a negative charge. So now the drug gets ionized because it is now negatively charged, means it is having ionization, means it is having charge. So the drug is ionized. So you know when the drug is ionized, it is water soluble, so that it can easily get excreted from the kidney because it is ionized and water soluble. So mostly in the phase 2 the water solubility of the drug increases. So the functional group also increases the water solubility. So we have clearly understood this. So this is about the metabolism which is going on in phase 1 and phase 2. So the important points are like, what is the important point which is going in the phase 1 is like drug inactivation, increase in water solubility, and also drug activation also taking in place of prodrugs. So what is if they ask the single choice that what is the best answer, then we can say drug inactivation is going on mainly in the phase 1. And coming to phase 2, there is nothing but water solubility is an important property. So now let us see the reactions. So there are different types of reactions going in phase 1 and phase 2. So these are mainly most probably metabolized by a powerful microsomal enzyme that is known as CYP450. So let us see the phase 1 and phase 2 in the case of reactions. So in the phase 1 reaction, we can remember it like an orchard. Phase 1 orchard, phase 2 jams, like but not GAMS. So in phase 1 orchard examples are O for oxidation, R for reduction, C for cyclization, H for hydrolysis, A for aliphatic and also aromatic, and D for deamination. So aromatic hydroxylation okay. So D for deamination. So orchard we have got its full form, that is the reactions taking place in the phase 1 with the help of the CYP450 microsomal enzyme. So among these all reactions, the most common reaction is the oxidation, that is the most common reaction. Now coming to the phase 2 reactions. So phase 2 reactions, it is like a conjugation reaction. So here only the G, that is gluconoridation, is the most common, and it's only the microsomal, it is metabolized by microsomal enzyme, but all that is AMS, this all are metabolized by non-microsomal enzymes. So another G is glycination, another G is glutination, A for acetylation, M for methylation, and S for sulfation. So these are the processes taking place both in phase 1 and phase 2 reactions. So now let us see what is this C5P450. What is this? It's like something code or what? So it is nothing but here CY represent the cytochrome. Cytochrome is a heme protein which mainly binds to the oxygen, right? So here P is the pigment of the plants which absorbs the light at the wavelength of 450 nanometers. So hence the name CYP450, that is cytochrome, pigment, wavelength of 450. So we got it now. So here we can say there are several examples, like several parts or several branches of this C5P450. For example, you can take here CYP1A2. So here the 1 represents the family, and here A2 represents the subfamily. Sorry, here A represents the subfamily and number 2 represents the gene isoform. So this may be as an important question, like what is details of this. So here 1 is a family, A is a subfamily, and 2 is a gene isoform. So now let us see how the drug is metabolized by CYP450, that is second priority. Actually these are like second priority because this CYP140 are divided into mostly 7 types, 7 different forms in phase 1. This is also, and this is in phase 2. So what happens, all this let us see. So first, a drug metabolized, first one is CYP1A2. Here we have tamoxifen, theophylline and tacrin. All TTs are belonging to 1A2. So here 2B6. 2B6 we are having the cyclophosphamide, and also we are having methadone. And coming to 2C9. 2C9 we have phenytoin and also warfarin. These are important among all this. And we are having 2C19. 2C19 we have omeprazole, which activate, and also having activates of clopidogrel. So remember that omeprazole is a competitively blocks this clopidogrel, that is it's a prodrug. So this clopidogrel is a prodrug, so it competitively blocks. So we can't use omeprazole and this together because it can easily block this. So one more important drug is this one 2D6. Here we have beta blockers, we have psychiatric like antipsychotics and also antidepressants. We are having tramadol, and also we are having, which activates the tamoxifen. So tramadol and these beta blockers are important. And next coming to 2E1, E as here E you can see always starting with the enfluanin and ethanol. And here we are having A4. So this is so among all these proteins, the most enzymes, the most common one is CYP3A4. It is the most common, which is having high rate of metabolism, about greater than 50% of the drugs. So here there are protease negatives, mifeprinostones, amidarones, B3, ciprofloxacin, erythromycin, estrogen. So these are examples over here. Let us check out the phase 2. So in phase 2 we are having glycination, niacin, glutathione, ifosamide, phosphomycin, and acetylation we are having sulfonamides. So acetylation is very important. Here we are having dapsone, hydralazine, INH, propionamide. So there are also having side effects like SLE, systemic lupus erythematosus. So that is side effect. So methylation, 6-MP, methadone, sulfation, steroids, and glucosination very important. We are having itranacan, atazanavir, statins, and estrogen. So this is a contraindicative for Crigler-Najjar syndrome, which is important. You also have B3D here example. So remember that atazanavir and irinotecan, these both are contraindicated to Crigler-Najjar syndrome. So now let us take an estrogen as an example and understand a situation. So for example, if a female, this is very important, like if a female has taken a oral contraceptive and she is also having throat infection. So for the throat infection we are giving antibiotics, but what happens is this antibiotics blocks the enterohepatic circulation of a drug. So when this stops, what happens is there is prolonged half-life is prolonged, and it is also decreased, so this leads to failure of ovary. So first let us understand the process so that we can understand. So in the phase 2, for example, we have taken the from here we start. So first estrogen is taken by oral route, it enters into the liver, it gets metabolized in phase 1 by C4P3A4 and by phase 2 by GA, that is in phase 2 if you remember we are having glucuronidation. So there we have glucuronidation, so it becomes water soluble and secreted into intestine where it reaches the colon. So after hitting the colon, the bacteria in the colon mainly produce glucuronidase, which breaks the glucuronide. So what happens is estrogen is lipid soluble now and reabsorbed back to the liver. So actually after reaching the small intestine, we'll think that it becomes water soluble and gets eliminated, but because of this bacteria glucuronidase, it blocks the glucuronidase. So the estrogen lipid is now soluble and it is reabsorbed back into the liver. As what happens, enterohepatic circulation takes place and there is prolonged half-life. So when a patient comes with oral contraceptive and also with throat infection, if we prefer to give antibiotics, then it's of waste because this contraceptive will fail now. Yeah, now coming to drug interaction. So this is also very important, like it is having enzyme induction and enzyme inhibition. So what happens in enzyme induction? So when there is more amount of enzyme, then the metabolism is lot of increase, so the plasma concentration is decreased and there is leading to the drug failure. So when there is more enzyme induction, there is drug failure. Here examples you can remember, like grab Priyanka Chopra, that is a mnemonic. For G you have the grifrofulvin, and R you are having rifampicin, and A you are having chronic alcohol, and B you are having benzyne pyrin, and Priyanka Chopra, like P we are having phenytoin and phenobarbiturates and primidone, and for Chopra C we are having the carbamazepine. So if we take in case of enzyme inhibition, that is caused by acute alcohol and also drug toxicity, it leads to drug toxicity, it leads to drug failure. So here we can have example like quick veg dinner. So QU for quinidine, I for inositine, and C for cimetidine and ciproflox, K for ketoconazole, and V for varenicline, and E for erythromycin, G for grapefruit juice, and dinner is for DEC. So this is very important, all these examples we need to remember. So let us take some example of rifampicin, that is in the case of oral contraceptive failure. It is not due to there it is due to sterilization of gastrointestinal system by antibiotics, but here it is due to mainly enzyme induction. Enzyme induction, as we discussed, enzyme induction leads to drug failure. So rifampicin is a drug failure because of enzyme induction. And if in the case of enzyme inhibition, example is erythromycin thiophytin toxicity, that is contraindicated, so the enzyme is inhibited. So now let us see, now we have understood all the process about pharmacokinetics, like how the drug is absorbed, and after absorption we have seen how the drug undergoes metabolism, and after that we have also seen how it first we have absorption, next we have distribution, next we have metabolism, now we are having excretion. So finally excretion, that how the drug gets out of our body. So let us understand. So it mainly can get out from a body by three ways, like from kidney, liver, lungs, but you all know the most common method of getting out from the body is through kidneys. So kidney is the most common. So for kidney or liver, the drug should be water soluble to get out, and for lungs, even if it is lipid soluble, it can get out. So let us see, we are having two process for kidney to get out, like filtration and tubular secretion. By filtration only 20% is removed, because by glomerular filtration rate is only 20%, so only 20% can get out of the body, that is only free drug is removed in the case of filtration. But tubular secretion, 80% of the drug is get out, because it removes both the free drug and also the plasma protein bound drug. So tubular secretion is in the more amount. Now let us see that RDE. What is this RDE? That is the rate of drug elimination, how the drug is eliminated per milligram by hour. So for 1 hour, how much milligrams of drug is eliminated. So how we can find out this? We are having some mathematical workout here, and also we are having some formulas and how to do that. So first one, we are having drug clearance. So the amount of plasma which is cleared of the drug per unit time is nothing but known as, so in the amount of plasma, how much of the drug is removed per a unit time, this is nothing but known as drug clearance. In the name only you can understand, clearance means how much is cleared from a body. So how much ml from plasma and how much drug is free per hour, all this how to find out, that is done by ml by hour. So drug clearance units, or the formula of drug clearance is milliliter by hour, that how much of drug is cleared per hour. And coming to plasma concentration, it is nothing but the milligram, in each milligram how much drug is present in plasma concentration, that is milligram by milliliter. So this is the formula for plasma concentration. So now if we multiply this both, that is milliliter per hour and milligram per milliliter, then what happens is both the milliliters get cut off and only milliliter by hour remains, milligrams per hour remains. This is nothing but the rate of drug elimination. So by this we can easily get the drug elimination is nothing but drug clearance into plasma concentration. So the amount of drug eliminated per unit time is the rate of drug elimination is plasma concentration into drug clearance. So by this we'll get the rate of drug elimination is milligrams per hour. So here we can say why we are doing all this. What is the clinical use is, that is RDE is mainly used to calculate the infusion rate by continuous IV infusion. So if we are giving continuous intravenous infusions, then in that process it is helpful. So once let us see the graph over here where it is showing the steady state concentration. So this is a CT curve, which here you can see the plasma concentration and here is the time. So here's the curve, you can see this middle one, it is steady straight line. So the steady state plasma concentration is a drug for the treatment. So half-life is over here, time and pass by the half-life. So 4/5 half-life is required, 4 or 5 half-life are required for a steady state of plasma concentration. This can be asked as bit. If in options it's 5, then it is greater than 4, even 4 can also be better. So infusion is equal to excretion is equal to steady state. So how much ever it is taken by body, how much ever it is released by body, so these both are equal, then it is steady state. So here infusion rate is equal to, we can take it as like plasma concentration into clearance rate, as the same formula, the rate of drug elimination as it. So the infusion rate is also like having the same formula. So remember both the infusion rate and rate of drug elimination are having the same formula. Now let us see the intermittent dosing. So what is this intermittent dosing? It is nothing but a maintenance dose, that is the plasma concentration into clearance into time. Here one more thing is adding, that is nothing but time. So here both the time and also the plasma clearance are constant, but the plasma concentration are constant, but the clearance is always variable. So the maintenance dose is depending on the drug clearance. This is important. So remember, maintenance dose depends on the drug clearance. So we can make another formula by like alternatives, like for plasma concentration, if we take VD, that is our distribution, volume distribution is equal to our drug by plasma concentration. So what happens, plasma concentration is equal to VD into if we take it that side, then D by VD we get. So this is plasma concentration, and here coming to clearance. Clearance, we know that half-life is directly proportional to our volume distribution, but half-life is inversely proportional to our clearance. So half-life is equal to VD by clearance. We need some constant, so we had 0.693. So clearance is equal to 0.693 into VD by T half. So here we can find out MD now with the new formulas, because we have got plasma clearance and plasma concentration and clearance. So now MD, that is the maintenance dose, is equal to D by VD. Here you can check out D by VD into 0.693 into VD by T half into 10. So now MD becomes 0.693 into dose by T half into 10. So this is a new formula which is important to remember. Now next, coming to the kinetics of the drug elimination. So depending on the order of our plasma concentration, whether it is 0 or 1, we are having 0 order and first order kinetics. So 0 order kinetics is nothing but where the RD is equal to plasma concentration into clearance is equal to constant. So when the dose is constant, then the clearance is constant. So here RD is equal to 1 into constant. So here the amount of drug eliminated per unit time is constant. So example, 220 milligram per hour is constant. So remember that in 0 order, what is constant? The amount is constant. Now let us see first order. In first order, the rate of drug elimination is equal to plasma concentration into clearance is constant. So again here, when the dose is constant, then the clearance is constant. So RD is equal to plasma concentration per 1 into constant. So RD is directly proportional to the plasma concentration. So the amount of drug eliminated per unit time is directly proportional to the plasma concentration. So example, you can take 20% by R is a plasma concentration. So here what is constant? Proportion. So there what is constant? Amount. So in zero order, remember the amount is constant, and in the first order the proportion is constant. So constant proportion of drug is eliminated per unit time. So these are the kinetics. Now let us check out some about examples of zero order first order. So zero order, if the dose increases, then example a drug A of 20 milligram per hour, then the dose of 100 milligrams. So as the dose increases, the half-life also increases, and as the dose increases, the clearance decreases because the dose is inversely proportional to clearance. So for example, in 1 hour 20 milligrams is gone, then 80 milligrams is left. So like this, that half-life increases. So you can see the half-life is for 5 hours. So for 150 mg we have 2.5 hours of half-life for the dose of 100 milligrams. So in the first order, the drug be 20% hour, 100 milligrams to 200 milligram, half-life and clearance are constant. So whatever the dose, half-life and clearance are constant here, but there as the dose increases, dose is here directly proportional to half-life, but the dose is inversely proportional to clearance there, but here they both are constant. So here as you can see, here 3 hours, here 3 hours, so the half-life is always constant here. So zero order and first order, let us compare them. Zero order, at least saturation of elimination, normal dose 20 milligrams. So you can see if 1 milligram get out 1, 2 as 2, 3 as 3, then this is first order of elimination. But if the 6 is going as 5 and 7 also going out, then this is amount is constant here, so it is zero order. So we can also say it as pseudo zero order because here both first order and zero order available. So this is pseudo zero order followed by few drugs. So zero order example you can remember like ATP has made weak. So A means alcohol, T means theophylline, tolubutamide, and P means phenytoin, and H means heparin, M means methanol, and W means warfarin. So first order is like late saturation of elimination. So here the normal is 20 milligrams and the high doses are like 100 milligrams. Then it gets out at 50 milligrams per minute. So 1 milligram into 20 milligrams, 1 to 20 first order, like 1 milligram to 120, they're coming in the same order. Then first order followed by most drugs. But the zero order is only followed by few drugs because even 200 you're giving, only 50 is going, even 100 you're giving, only 50 is going. So this is the second zero order. So this is all about pharmacokinetics. So by this we completed introduction and also pharmacokinetics, the general pharmacology basic topics.